Hey everyone, welcome to this new episode on my channel. Today we're gonna do a complete teardown of a VanMoof S2 bike. You know my passion and love for VanMoof design and bicycles. This channel is dedicated to putting them back on the street and teaching you how to do it yourself. Let's get started! Here you can see the tools you might need to completely disassemble the VanMoof S2. Let's start with the wheels, and more specifically the back wheel. Unscrew the back chain guard with a 2.5mm Allen key. Then you will have to unscrew the chain tensioner, which is located at the back, with a 4mm Allen key. With that out of the way, you can start using the anti-theft nut VanMoof tool. This is a specific tool to remove the wheel nuts. Then the wheel will come down by itself. Just make sure the chain is out of the way. We will continue with the front wheel, where the motor is located. You will have to start by unscrewing those two tiny screws with the appropriate Allen key. It's a 3mm. This is where the connection between the smart unit and the engine is located. Then remove the guard to reveal the connection. You will have to disconnect the wires the way I do it here. And then you can continue with the same anti-theft tool to remove the nuts on both sides. These two first steps are quite important, so save the video if you need to change your tube or tires. Shake it and it's off. Up next, I'll show you how to remove the Kicklock. You will have to locate the tiny holes on both sides of the pin lock. Take two of the tiny Allen keys you can find or any solid pin and insert them in the holes. Then you can unscrew them. This is how the pin looks when it's disassembled. Sometimes it might be jammed, so make sure you spray some WD-40 in there. Then you will need the Torx key 25 to unscrew these two stainless steel screws and reveal the connector. Here we go. You can then use any tiny pin to push it. Don't go too hard because you might break it, so just be gentle with it. And here you go. Up next, we're gonna take care of the smart unit. You will first need to unscrew the seat post attachment on the side of the frame with the Torx key number 30, and then remove the saddle post. Under the top bar frame, there are plenty of small screws. You can use a Torx 10 here, but I recommend using a Torx 8 to remove these tiny screws. It's much easier. Some of them are in tricky areas that are hard to access. Take your time, they can be fragile. Subscribing really helps the channel. Thanks so much for being here. Then you gently pull the smart unit with your fingers in the seat post hole. Push it back. Don't forget to unlock your bike or you're gonna have the school head sign and a loud alarm sound. Up next, we will remove all the handlebar and everything around it. So here, because I didn't want to reuse the grip tape, I cut it. But if you want to reuse them, you will need some patience because they are glued. I will remove both brake levers with a simple 5mm Allen key. You can remove them both the same way. You will have to bend the cable housing to fit the key, but that's okay. You can unscrew the top of the handlebar nut and then the stem as well. The good thing about the S2 is that the cable doesn't go through the handlebar, but is actually outside of it, which makes things a bit easier compared to the S3 X3. Now you remove the handlebar and put it on the side. Here we go. Now we're going to remove the front fork, removing the spacers here. Just make sure you take care of the motor cable that goes through the fork. If you don't want to break them, just be gentle with it and everything is gonna be fine. If you want to change the front fork, you will need to put a wire or something to be able to pass the cable the other way. Here, I'm just showing you where it's located. Now we're going to take care of the connectors to the buttons. You might need to remove the tape with a cutter, the way I'm doing it here. So actually, both buttons on both sides have two connectors. Here, you're going to see me using pliers because I think everything was a bit too tight. I already removed the brake cables, but it's quite a classic procedure, so I didn't film it. Let's hop on the front light. You just remove the little cap, and then you will need a tiny 1.5mm Allen key. And then be gentle with these connectors as well. Just use a little pin to remove it properly, the same way we did before on connectors. Now we're going to go to the bottom of the frame to disassemble the battery. First, on the easy side with the T27 Torx key. And then we're going to move on a tricky part, which is on the chain side. On the chain side, you might need to apply some pressure onto the plastic cover, but since it's quite soft, you can pass the keys through. Remove the cap cover, usually filled with dust. Make sure you put the pedal sensor connectors out of the way. I use one screw placed into the thread there and use pliers to remove the battery gently. You might need to use some pressure to remove the battery overall, but that's the way to go. And now you get the battery out of the way. Now let's move on the chain itself and start something quite classic for bikes. So I remove some metallic elements here that hold the chain guard together. Then I'll use the chain tool to remove one of the chain links. The chain is now loose. We can have a look at the chain tensioner to see what's inside. As you can see, it's pretty straightforward. You might need to open it sometime for maintenance or just to make sure everything is tight. Now we're going to move into the crankset. Start with a big 8mm Allen key to open the cover screw. Then you will need to use the crank puller tool. What it does is it adds some pressure into the bottom bracket and pushes the cranks away. It's a generic tool you can find in any cycle store or borrow from a friend. On the other side, you will first need to remove the plastic guard and do the same procedure again. First the Allen key to remove the big nut and then use the crank puller again. Here is the pedal sensor connectors that you need to unplug first. That goes straight into the bottom bracket, so you need to remove that out of the way. Then on the bottom bracket, there is some sort of plastic cover to avoid any dust or water to go in. First thing you need to do is to open it up using a pin. These covers are on both sides. Then you can use your cassette removal tool. I suggest that you start on the side of the chain, making sure it doesn't roll over the cables. Warning, on this side the thread is inverted, as you can see here, so just make sure you follow the right path. Then you can push the cassette through and you can see the cable coming with it. This cassette was quite damaged, as you can see, and needed to be changed. On the S2 series, VanMoof worked with baffung for the engine, so you can find a replacement part on AliExpress for pretty cheap. And then if you want to remove the other side, you can still remove it the same way. This time the thread won't be inverted. Now the piece of resistance, the wiring harness. None of the elements are connected to the components anymore, so we're going to remove the wiring harness. Everything goes through the main tube under this plastic trim that separates the battery from the cables. Just make sure all connectors are free. Feel free to move them a bit, and if needed, push them through the main tube frame. If you need to change the wiring harness, you can use cables or strings to make sure you can rerun the wires through the frame. I'm going to unscrew the top part of the wiring harness, which is where the smart unit is connected. I am now on the top of the tube next to the headset. Here, I'm under it, around the fork, and you can find this Allen screw as well. It could be a bit tricky, but just take your time. Don't try to rush it, otherwise you might damage the cables, and soldering these cables is not something you might want to do. Here we go. So we're back under the tube and we're going to slide them off. And you can see the whole wiring harness coming together. Some errors on S2s are based on the wiring harness being faulty, so you might not need to disassemble the whole bike. But at least now you know how to change it if you ever find a replacement part for that. Thanks for watching. Please let me know in the comment section what you want me to disassemble next. There are gonna be S3 and X3 videos coming up, but if you want some more specific videos, please let me know and I'll be happy to answer and film the process. See you guys!